about Hearthstone, their newest announcement that they just made yesterday. So first of all, what can you tell us about the game for someone who maybe missed the presentation the other day?
Hearthstone is the game that Blizzard announced at the PAX East game show back in 2013. The announcement of some casual collectible card game was accepted very modestly and did not cause any kind of hype. But no one knew at that time that just a year later everything would change dramatically, and this small and unknown game called Hearthstone will revolutionize the gaming industry.
Well played. Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
Nowadays you can find a lot of different computer card games, for every taste, style, and size of your wallet. But in 2013 it was completely different. There were almost no games in this genre on the market, because many game companies believe that this genre is too complicated, boring, and won't have a large audience or earn money. But this man and 15 other developers decided otherwise and challenged the gaming industry. Ben Brode and his team did a great job, and when the game was released in 2014 a lot of players, journalists, and other people realized that they were facing a new hit which established a huge niche in the gaming industry and would earn hundreds of millions a year. According to Blizzard's 2014 annual report, Hearthstone had over 40 million registered accounts, $850 million in revenue, and $225 million in operating income, which ended up making Hearthstone one of the best and biggest gaming launches in the history of the PC gaming industry. The game succeeded due to the following 4 factors. Firstly, the development team did a good job and was able to make Hearthstone a simple but entertaining and interesting game. They researched a lot of other games in this genre, took the best elements, removed complicated and boring rules, added a bunch of randomness, and as a result got an explosive mixture called Hearthstone. The second and equally important factor is the popularity of the game on YouTube and Twitch. Because of the simple rules, it turned out that Hearthstone is very easy to understand. Videos and streams with it began to gain popularity, because the players almost immediately grasped what was happening on the screen and could fully immerse themselves in the playing process. Also, game randomness affected the popularity of the Hearthstone on these platforms. Thanks to various random factors, Hearthstone games were exciting and full of emotions, both for players and streamers. If you look at some famous streamers, some of them owe their popularity to Hearthstone. So great was the impact of the game on Twitch and YouTube viewers in 2014. I believe it was due to YouTube and Twitch that Hearthstone got 40 million registered accounts in its first year after release. I don't know if it was a master plan or an accident, but it is what it is. The third factor, of course, is the name Blizzard. In 2013-2014 this company still meant something among gamers around the world. After all, Blizzard was behind the creation of such masterpieces as Diablo, StarCraft, and Warcraft. So many players decided to try a new game from their favorite developers. And if Blizzard were to release something like this in 2022, it's unlikely that fans would have embraced the game as well as Hearthstone in 2014. Although we know the reason why this once great game studio has lost a lot of its fans in recent years.
But we want to do it in a way that's true to Blizzard, putting gameplay first. We want to do it in a way that feels right.
We also know what games Blizzard is releasing now under the leadership of Activision.
This, an out-of-season April Fool's joke.
And the last, fourth factor is mobile phones. When Hearthstone was released globally in March 2014, the game was also available on the mobile platforms in addition to PC. At the beginning, the game was only on iOS devices, but by the end of 2014 Android users were able to play Hearthstone as well. Thanks to the mobile platform, a lot of new players previously unfamiliar with this genre registered in the game. Such popularity in the mobile segment doesn't surprise me, all because Hearthstone looked like a real game in comparison to other mobile ones. It had quite interesting gameplay, and to enjoy it you didn't need to sell your kidney and spend all the money on in-app purchases, which all mobile games are known for.
Hearthstone you can play for free forever. Everything that you could pay for with dollars, you could earn in the game just by playing. We wanted to make a free-to-play game that felt like it was opt-in. You didn't really have to do that. If you want to get cards faster, or you're looking at something very specific, you're welcome to buy packs, but it's absolutely not something that you have to do in our game.
That's why, the new collectible card game from Blizzard deservedly took a place among the most popular mobile games of that year. Ben Brode and his small team were able to perform a miracle. Every day after release, the number of players grew at a tremendous rate. I started playing this wonderful game in 2014. And at the time Hearthstone was the best game for me, and years later I dreamed about how great it would be to go back to 2014, the days of classic Hearthstone and the old and good metagame. To play decks like Control Warrior, Miracle Rogue, Handlock, and Druid. But when Blizzard added Classic mode to the game and gave us the opportunity to go back to 2014 and feel the old Hearthstone again, I realized that after 7 years even the best game and metagame becomes obsolete. Because the years go by, the players, the game industry, and the whole world changes, and even the best and perfect game needs changes and improvements. Blizzard themselves understood that, and that's why they also thought about the future of their new hit. Or if you translate these words into the business language, how to make even more money. As a result, on July 22, 2014 the game's first add-on, Curse of Naxxramas, appeared, which added 30 new cards to Hearthstone. It was presented in the form of PvE adventures, completing which players received new cards. It could have been bought for real money as well as for in-game currency. Generally, the new add-on was taken by the players very positively and a big hype appeared around it, attracting even more new players. But the new cards have brought the first problems. According to the developer's idea, the cards from the new add-on were to change and refresh the metagame, but it did not turn out quite as planned. And all because of the new card, Undertaker, and some other ones that were too strong.
I think this could be one of the top cards of the future.
As a result, a lot of decks using Undertaker appeared in the metagame, and it was difficult for other decks to play against those strong and imbalanced cards. But there's nothing new or surprising in all of this. The developers decided to take the standard and fairly easy route, namely adding new and powerful cards to the game, which were supposed to make players spend money on the new add-on. But the whole idea was accepted badly by the players, and the first complaints were received from the fans pointing out that the perfect game was not so perfect. Many players expressed their concerns about the direction Hearthstone began to evolve. The players asked the developers to nerf the Undertaker and somehow fix current balance in the game. But unfortunately the developers did not pay attention to the players' requests, and the nerf of this card occurred only in January 2015. Which was too late, and the game was already experiencing other problems. As you have already understood, the first addition to Hearthstone was quite controversial. But at the end of this year we were waiting for a new add-on called Goblins vs. Gnomes. Unlike the Curse of Naxxramas, the second add-on was not a PvE adventure and was presented in the form of classic boosters, in which we received new cards randomly. However, instead of the 30 new cards as in previous add-on, 123 cards were announced in the Goblins vs. Gnomes. Such a large amount of cards was pretty cool, and, frankly speaking, this is exactly what the game needed, because by the time this add-on was released, the metagame in Hearthstone needed a dramatic change. Players wanted new cards, new decks, and interesting archetypes. With this update, players finally got new decks and archetypes, and everyone was happy, at least the first few days. But a week later it was clear that all is not as good as we would like. Goblins vs. Gnomes brought a lot of new randomness to the game in addition to the strong cards. In Hearthstone there was initially a certain amount of randomness, and quite often the games were won by chance, but with this release the whole situation only worsened, because the game added a lot of cards with random effects. As a result, Hearthstone turned into chaos and madness, where everything depends not on your skills but on a chance.
Okay.
Whoa! 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 GG! What?
Perhaps the most famous card from this add-on was Dr. Boom. It showed and described the essence of goblins and gnomes very well, because it was very strong and almost all decks in those days played this legendary card, but it was also very random. Since Boom Bot dealt a random amount of damage to randomly chosen targets, Dr. Boom could either win you the game or lose. Watching all this madness on YouTube videos or streams was fun and entertaining, but when the players themselves experienced such situations it was not funny anymore. Goblins vs. Gnomes showed another direction in which the developers planned to develop Hearthstone, and that was to increase randomness in the game. All this was done to make the games even more vivid and memorable and to slightly smooth out the difference in the skills of different players. With the new cards, even a weak player could beat a strong one, because it was impossible to beat a randomness that was against you. No skill can help you. And of course, the new overpowered cards that stood out significantly from others pushed players to buy new boosters. As the cards from the boosters were received at random, it was necessary to spend a lot of real money or in-game currency to get the desired ones. As a result, the second add-on of Hearthstone caused a lot of hype, added more than 120 new cards, shook up the metagame, but caused a lot of questions and concerns among the players. Many didn't like at all what was happening to the game, and began to wonder what the future held for them. So that's how the first year ended for a new hit from Blizzard that revolutionized the gaming industry. And even though there were two very controversial add-ons after the huge release, I can confidently say that this was the golden age for Hearthstone. But as we know, the higher the rise, the more painful the fall. But that's a whole other chapter of Hearthstone history, which I'll tell you in my next video. So, if you don't want to miss it, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I would also appreciate your likes and comments if you enjoyed this video.